Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Tuesday, it's October 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And what looked like was going to be maybe a range day turned out to be an uptrend. And really, you've got two legs up. You've got a leg up, a correction, and another leg up. We didn't quite get a measured move. You can see here's your measured move, and you start from the high right there. And you can see we came close, but we just couldn't get through that resistance right across here around 29, 35, 36 area. I'd call that 29, 36 really. We just couldn't quite get through there. So, but you can see that, once we started going higher here and kept going higher, that's what I would shoot for, that measured leg. And notice where this bounced. I mean, this is the midpoint, and this bounced right off the 50. So that's a 50% correction there, and then it bounced. And when you see that thing moving up, and if it keeps going higher and gets through up here, that's what you're going to do is look for that measured move and look for, possibly start looking for longs. It looked like maybe we would have a failure right here at first, but then when we couldn't get any lower and took off, and you probably want to get on board and look for that measured move up. And there was another way to look at this. You could measure this first leg like so. And then once we went higher, and you can see that pretty much got you almost a perfect measured move there. So that would be the other way to look for one as well. So, um, and it turns out that it looks like there's a two-tiered channel here. We never could get back to the highs, but there's clearly a two-tiered range as well. So, and this was really strong confluence in there. You wouldn't have had this trend line because that's your first swing. So that's what would have been the first time you drew it right there. So you really wouldn't have known that was confluence at the time. But still, it's that midline on this range. You can see that's dead center. That's a perfect 50% correction, and then off we go again. And that's pretty typical. You'll see a correction of about 50 to about 70 to 72%, somewhere in that range. And if it bounces before then, it starts going higher and doesn't reach the lows again. Or same thing in reverse if you're going down. Look for that measured move. That's a good indication of, hey, we're probably going to get a measured move if it gets back through this resistance, which, if you move over here, you can see that was the overnight highs. And we had first it like it was going to be a little failed break higher, but it just didn't work out. Prices fought, and this still would have been a good trade, but prices fought and went higher. But let me back out a little bit. We'll talk about the trades. There's not a lot of them today. It's kind of a quiet day, really. But you had to be patient. But when I came in, we were working up, and there's actually a failed second entry short right here. Of course, that was early. But then we pushed on up and pulled back, and we bounced off that trend line. But notice how bearish that bar is. And so you don't want to use that for your signal bar. I just don't think it's very good. We came back to the trend line again here. At this point, this is looking like a range. You would figure we're going to probably test these highs or try to test these highs. So we could just keep on creeping up this trend line right here, but it's really steep. We're getting away from the EMA. We're not significantly away from it yet. So you might consider that trade. Honestly, I'd wait till we came back to the EMA, got a correction. But this is looking like a pretty strong little trend working up through here, and it is. And we get a break, then we move to a new high, and then we started trending down. And we're just correcting back down to the midline, really is what we're doing. So, but anyway, you might take that trade. Come up here, we get a break. You really don't get a setup for long. You're really kind of going sideways. So this is almost a little failed break lower. So when you get this big bullish bar, and we're looking for a retest of the high as well, I like going long there. And you might let it break higher and drop a limit order one tick above this bar right here, because that would have been your original signal bar. But they've all got matching lows, so it doesn't really matter. You can use this one, but you might try to get a little better entry, and you would have got filled on that, and off it goes. So just something to think about. Or you could just put a buy stop one tick above that. You need to think about being able to get out before these highs, but with that strong a move up, we're probably going to push up to a new high. We're probably going to test the overnight highs too. So, but if you can get a little better entry, a lot of times it's worth shooting for. Only problem is sometimes if you get too conservative, you'll miss out on a nice trade. So comes up here, turns down. There's a little 2-tick bar right there. We've got to break it a new high, but if you draw your little short-term trend line, there's been no break of it, and I don't think I'd risk that. It would have been a nice little trade, but wait on a lower high, which we come back here and we get a lower high. But also there's a pullback. There's a first entry, and then we make a lower high here. So there's a second entry long right there, and it fails. And it is a lower high off of coming off the highs there. And this is a little double test of this right here. So that's another reason to consider that one. I'm not going to mark it. You could probably argue for it to be green, but here's your lower high right here. And it is a failed second entry long into that, so it doesn't have to be a great signal bar. And at that point, I'd be looking at least for another measured leg down and probably headed to at least the midline or maybe down to here. And we're just kind of working lower here. There's actually a true failed second entry long right there. But if this trend line is correct, which it looks like it is, and you drag it down, we're right into that, and you see it touched it and then bounced again. So you just really, you can't enter in either direction then. We finally come back and you get a little close outside and you get a big bearish bar and you get a double test. Notice that high, you tested it once, you tested it twice. It's key entry points at the EMA, the trend line, big bearish bar. Just go short right there. And quick, easy scalp, but you don't get anything more. There's another little tick back right there that turns down off the trend line. But with that being right into those lows, you basically got a double bottom, and with the midline being right there, I'd be a little leery of that one. And if you did enter it and it starts going sideways like this, I'd go ahead and exit because there's a good chance you're going to bounce off that midline. I don't see a reason to go long there either, though. It's a shame because that's a nice move up. That's one of the better moves of the day, actually. But it's just not a good way to get in it. Of course, then we get a failed breakout, but we're still, the trend line's still in play, so that's your first break of it. We're probably going to turn back up. Of course, we do. We make that high. You make a double top here or a little lower high and a negative bearish bar. I like going short right there just to try to ride back. You may not have got in that trade because it does gap over that midline right there. Notice how it gaps. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. Let me make it a little bigger. Notice how it gaps right over it. And that tells you that midline's probably in the right place. And actually, it's the midline from the spike in channel, two-tier channel. And that just tells you that you're in the right place. And notice it gaps over it again right here. Same identical thing. Tells you you're probably in the right place. But notice we make that low. We tested it once, we tested it twice, you get that big bearish bar, and it actually went lower and turned and went out the other side, so you could have just went long right there or waited on this and put a buy stop. You are going long at the high of the day, but we're probably going to get another leg up now. It's probably going to be equal to this one, or the whole thing's going to be equal to the one I showed you earlier over here, which is this arrow. No, it's not that one. This arrow right here, I'm sorry. This one. And so I like going long right there, and hopefully you'll get a mirrored move like this one, measured move. And of course we do. And you do get that little double. You get a high, you get a lower high, and there is a little shorter term trend line, but you got this two-tier channel. You figure you're probably going to come back at least to the midline. So if you got enough room there, you might consider that one. We'll make it green. I just think you're being a little risky with shooting for a measured move up here, trying to get short yet. What happened there? There we go. But I'll give it a green one. But I don't think I'd skip that one. But when we come back again and get that double test and a big bearish bar, again, this thing gaps here, so you may not have got in it. You might have put a sell limit, it might have filled, but I doubt it. So, and again, that's bouncing right into that EMA. So it could just it could start ticking down and then reverse and turn back up again. So it doesn't in this case, but that's a fairly nice move if you caught that one. And it does meet our double test rule. And since, you know, it's a bearish bar, you're looking for prices to pull back again. We just came off the highs right here. So it's a possibility. And of course, now we got a big move down. This looks like a reversal pattern, but instead it turns out works out the other direction. Instead of working out to the short side, it works out to the long side. So when it fails and bounces here, that's a failed second entry short. I like going long. This is the first break of this spiking channel here. So you're looking for prices to try to go make a new high. Doesn't work out that way, but that's what we're still looking for. And of course, there's a higher low here. I don't think I would consider that one, but it's a possibility. This is actually your failed second entry short right here. And we didn't go very far, so I'd probably skip that one. It's kind of an inside bar to this one as well. It's like a down up bar. And then we sell off back down, and I'd look for a measured move like this first, and then maybe from here to here. We ended up going a little bit further than that, actually a good bit further than that, but that's what I would have been looking for to begin with. Of course, you got this channel here, but we're working down, and you got a downward channel, and so there's too big a chance it bounces off that and turns down, which it does. So you don't want to go long there. It's a first entry anyway. We're way below the EMA, so I'd be thinking short at that point. It really gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. I just don't see anything else up here that really, this late in the day, that interests me. So that's what I saw today. In the end, I think the two-tiered channel is the key, although early on you couldn't argue with this sideways range. Again, two-tiered with the midline being dead center on it there. So enough trades here to find what you need. Nothing to write home about overall, though. No big moves, really. Again, the best move of the day was here. You might argue this was pretty close to it, and you could have caught that one, but on this one, you just no way to really catch that one. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.